The Radio Memories Network is brought to you in part by Liberated Syndication. Podcast publishing made easy. Libsyn.com. That's LIBSYN.com.
Escape. Escape tonight to occupied France and the underground.
The Columbia Broadcasting System and its affiliated stations presents Escape, a new series of programs of which this, the second, is Operation Fleur De Lys, written and directed by William N. Robeson. Today, the 14th of July, the people of a free France celebrate the anniversary of their escape from the tyranny of the kings of Versailles. 158 years ago today, the people of Paris stormed the Bastille and let loose the French Revolution. The torch of liberty set afire that day never burned more fiercely than during the years when France was occupied by the Nazis. We escape tonight to occupied France, from which 3 years ago there was no escape.
You can call me Duke, but don't use my right name. I might want to go back to France someday. And there are a lot of people in the world that wouldn't understand that what I did was justified in a war. No, I don't have any regrets. Moral ones, that is. It isn't what I did to Renee that keeps me awake at nights. It's just the memory of her. There isn't much about her in my official report on Operation Fleur De Lys, but then it isn't customary to include descriptions of slim, sunburned legs and wide, deep brown eyes in a military document. And anyway, she was only an incident in the operation, even if she became somewhat more important to me. Operation Fleur De Lys began like all the others in the grubby, undistinguished house in London, which was the headquarters of the OSS, the Office of Strategic Services, otherwise known in various parts of the world as screwballs, cutthroats, spies, cloak and dagger boys, and American underground agents.
Gentlemen, Operation Fleur De Lys is planned to assist the advance of our forces once they've secured a beachhead in Normandy.
Is that where we're going in, Major?
That is one of the possibilities, Lieutenant.
Yes, sir.
You will jump over Grandmont in northern France, here on the map. You're to set up roadblocks on these 3 state highways. Here, here, and here.
There is an underground contact near Grandmont, sir?
Yes, Alcine Duton. He's leader of the local Maquis. He's expecting you. In addition, you're to block these railroad lines entering and leaving Grandmont. These operations are to coincide with the advance of our ground forces.
If they land in Normandy.
If they land in Normandy. You will enplane tonight at 2100 hours and will drop over your objective at, I should think, approximately 2230. Any questions?
No, I don't think so, sir. Well, yes, sir, I have a question.
Yes, Lieutenant?
How many of us are going on this mission?
Just the 2 of you.
Just the 2 of us. And all we had to do was organize an underground army, disrupt the supply lines of a half a dozen Nazi divisions, and give support to the entire Allied invasion. Just the 2 of us. But that's the way the OSS worked. And nobody ordered Hill and me into it. We'd volunteered. I don't know why. Maybe for moments like this one, when you get a B-24 assigned to you as a personal taxi, and there's lots of room to sprawl around after the Bombay.
How do you feel?
Fine.
Scared?
Of course I'm scared, aren't you?
Me? No, this is a walk. You forget how tough it was when we were at paratroop school at Benning.
Yeah, that was real rugged.
If the wind wasn't right, you might land in the Chattahoochee and get all wet.
And there was always the chance that you'd sprain your ankle coming down too hard.
And the sun was so bright on some of those daylight jumps.
Whereas we got none of those things to worry about here. A nice pitch-black night over France, no sun to blind us, no Chattahoochee River to fall into.
Hey, Lieutenant.
Yes, Sergeant.
Skipper wants to talk to you on the intercom.
Thanks.
Here, use my cans.
Thank you. Duke here.
Lieutenant, I'm over your objective.
Any signal from the ground?
Yes, the one arranged. 4 dots, 2 dashes. Green.
Very well.
You and Lieutenant Hill move into the Bombay catwalk. I'll open Bombay doors in 30 seconds.
Roger.
Good luck.
Thanks. Sergeant, stand by to dump those supplies as soon as we're clear.
Yes, sir.
Come on, Ed. This, as someone has said, is it.
So soon? Just as I was settling down to a good book.
Bombay doors are opening, sir.
Okay, Sergeant. All right, Ed, let's check your harness.
It's a frightful mess. I just can't seem to do a thing with it.
I know, but this is the last party you'll have to wear it on. Okay. How am I?
Well, don't look now, but your chute's showing.
Tuck it in. Let's get out on that catwalk. Sure you can. It helps. But for those 10 seconds while you fall free, nothing helps. You hang on to the ripcord and you count off the seconds, and you try not to count too fast. Your hand on that ripcord is the only certain thing in the world as you tumble head over teacups with a wind-tearing sound from your ears. And there's only one thought, always the same thought, whether it's your first or your 50th jump. Will the chute open? It does. Yanking at your armpits, knocking the breath out of you, slowing you down, and you swing there like a rag doll trying to get your bearings. First, you make out the horizon. That's where the black becomes darker black, where the stars stop. And you wonder about Ed, but you can't risk calling out. And now that you're located where the stars aren't, you look for the signal light, and there it is, slightly to the left. So you tug at your shroud lines, spilling a little air to guide you toward it. And it's coming toward you awfully fast. And you hope this particular French patriot has picked out a field free of trees and church steeples. And then you try to remember all the things they taught you about hitting the ground and rolling with the wind and collapsing your chute. Because it's always like this. You always feel like you've never hit the silk before. And then you're down, and you roll just right, and you collapse your chute, and it's second nature to you after all. And then you hear footsteps running towards you. And you remember another important instruction. You whip out your automatic, and you hope your French is good enough to get you by. Qui va? Who is it?
Alcine here.
Fleur.
De Lys.
Okay, Alcine, come on.
At last you've arrived, Lieutenant.
So it seems.
You have no idea how long we've wished for this moment.
Hold it. That's my partner. Come on. Hey, Ed. Ed.
Over here, Duke.
You okay?
My empennage is slightly damaged, otherwise okay.
This is Alcine, our contact. Alcine, Lieutenant Hill.
Hello, Alcine.
Lieutenant, it is a great pleasure to make your acquaintance. And on behalf of my countrymen...
Yeah, well, let's get these chutes buried and blow this place. Where's your transportation, Alcine?
We haven't any.
What?
Where's the safe house?
You might be able to stay at my aunt's. I don't think she'd talk.
You don't think, aren't you sure?
Oh, yes, I'm supremely confident that
Where are the Germans?
They're everywhere. And that is why I'm so glad you're here. Now we can fight again. With your help, we will kill many Boche.
Oh, wait a minute. How many are there in your Maquis?
Myself and 2 others.
Just 3 of you?
Oh, my aching back.
But now that the Americans are here, we can do anything.
Oh, why don't they get these things straight in London? How can we block roads with a 3-man Maquis?
3 men and an aunt who perhaps will not talk.
Well, let's get cracking.
Duke, you're not going through with this mad venture, are you?
What would you suggest?
Well, as for me, I'm all for taking the next plane back to London.
Another piece of bread, Lieutenant.
No, thank you, ma'am.
This bone chicken is delicious. How do you call it?
K-ration.
Supreme. We've had nothing like it since the Boche came.
Yeah, well, you get used to it.
And cigarettes, Tante Marie. Cigarettes made of real tobacco. You Americans have everything.
Madame, Alcine, you are kind, you are hospitable, but the comforts of K-ration will not block roads. We need men. We must form a Maquis.
But we have a Maquis.
Look, Alcine, there are 3 of you and 2 of us. Sure, we've got guns and we've got ammunition and supply chutes somewhere out in that field where we landed. We've got arms for 50 men. But if we had those men, we still couldn't go to war against the German division.
Now, you said yourself there's at least a division garrisoned in Grammont.
What must we do?
First, we must organize a Maquis. We need men. Can you get them?
I can go into the village and talk to my
You
friends.
should have done that a long time ago.
Faustine, that would be most unwise.
Why?
Didn't you know? Alcine is a patriot. He's a deserter from the Vichy army, so he's wanted by the Gestapo.
Oh, great. And there's a Gestapo headquarters in Grammont, of course.
Of course. Alcine is not one to run from danger.
Quite the contrary.
I can get Renee to help.
Who's Renee?
Alcine's sweetheart, a lovely girl from Paris. Poor thing, she had to come down to the country because her house was bombed out.
Let's leave her out of this.
But, Lieutenant, she would be most happy to help.
Alcine, you got a lot to learn about guerrilla warfare. You might as well study your first lesson right now. It's short and to the point. No games.
A fiery horse
Well,
with
the
the
next
speed of
day,
light,
we
a cloud
collected
of
the
dust, and
supplies
the hearty
which had
Ohio
been dropped with
silver.
us. And we set up a
Lone
camp deep in
Ranger.
the woods. Hill and I were loaded with French money, so we were able to buy food from the friendly farmers. Maybe it was the food as much as patriotism that brought us recruits. Anyway, after a week, we had
This
nearly
is the
30 men.
legend of a man
Our
and a
Maquis
horse,
wasn't big enough
and how
for the
they
job
met.
we had to do,
The story of
but
the
it was
Lone
growing in the right
Ranger
direction.
and his great horse.
And then one
Silver.
night, as I was winding up a report to London,
Huh? What did they say?
what do they ever
The
say?
Lone Ranger and
Message
Buffalo
acknowledged.
were trailing
Carry
the
on.
worst outlaw in the West.
Well, what about
His
new
name
batteries
was
for the
Dick
radio?
Cavendish.
What about extra ammunition for the
They
Buck
followed his
Rogers
trail for
guns?
many weeks.
When are they going to get another drop
Finally,
to us?
They noticed
Why
that the
don't you ask
hoofprints
them?
of the outlaw's horse were fresh.
Yeah.
We're close
They
to
do the best they
Cavendish
can, I
now.
guess.
Yes, Tonto.
After all, we're not
Can't
the
be
only
far
Boy
ahead.
Scouts in this
Him
jamboree.
outrun us last time. Maybe
Yeah,
better
they
we
do.
shoot in
Yeah.
sight.
No.
There goes
Wanna take him
Alcine
alive.
toward the road.
Hey, Alcine!
Steady there, steady boy.
Come
Over
here.
there. Killer in ambush. Him right way.
Tonto, he missed me, but he shot my
just
horse.
taking a stroll.
Get after him.
Get him up, fella.
You on night guard?
Not tonight.
Tonto's horse was
You weren't on
tired
that
and no
guard
match
last
in
night, were you?
speed for the animal
No, Lieutenant.
Cavendish
On the night
Road.
before.
The outlaw
No,
escaped.
But you weren't in camp all
When
night, were
Tonto
you?
returned from the
No,
bugle
sir.
chase,
Oh, fella.
What's the matter?
he found
Don't
the
you
Lone
like the
Ranger
camp?
standing
Rather
beside
sleep
his
at your
dead
aunt's? Is it
horse.
too rugged out
A
here for
good
you?
horse,
No,
Tonto.
sir.
Then where were you?
Loyal, faithful,
In the village.
brave.
You know the orders.
But
No
my
orders.
next horse must be faster.
Yes, Lieutenant, but I
I
only
wish
go in
that-
at night.
That makes no difference.
Tonto,
But it does.
we've heard stories of
You
a
see,
wild
Lieutenant,
horse, a fiery
I'm
white
so in
stallion.
love.
Ah, him seen near valley over there.
The girl from
where
Paris.
Cavendish go.
Yes.
We'll be on the
You
lookout
should
for
see
the
her,
wild
Lieutenant.
horse while we
She's the
follow
most
Cavendish.
beautiful, the most charming, the
Don't
most...
you know you're endangering the whole marquee by disobeying my orders?
Oh, no, sir. There's no danger with Renee. She hates the bush. Why, she wants to join
Ranger's
us.
saddle, his
told her
saddlebags and
about it.
bridle.
Oh, yes, sir.
While the masked man and the
Out of your
Indian
mind.
continued on
How
foot
do you know
along
she's
the
all right?
outlaw's trail.
I just know that.
When they reached the top of a hill,
She's
Look,
the most
Tonto.
wonderful person
they
in the
halted
world.
suddenly.
She's a real
and stared
patriot.
at an
I told you,
awe-inspiring
rule number
sight
one
far
is no
down in the
danger.
valley.
Yes, but Renee is different.
Yeah.
They
Well,
saw
you
a
better
great
marry her
white
before you
stallion
bring
in
her
a
around
death
here.
fight
You'll have
with
to
a
share
giant
with the rest of
buffalo.
these
The
wolves.
horse was plunging,
Lieutenant,
rearing,
do I
charging, and
understand
dodging
you?
Forget it,
wildly,
Elsie.
and the
It's just
sun
an
flashed
American
from his
figure
coat
speak.
as from a coat of polished
May I
silver.
tell Renee she can
He
join us?
realized
Well,
that this was the
not
legendary
quite yet.
white stallion.
Later, maybe.
The one
Yes,
ranchers and
Lieutenant.
hunters had talked so
Is
much
that all?
about.
Tonto,
Yeah, that's
must have that horse.
If you got to
I'll
take
try
it
to
out,
shoot the buffalo.
take it easy.
Too far for pistol
I do
shot.
not
I'll get
understand.
closer
Just
before
another
it's too
American
late.
idiom, Elsie.
As he ran downhill, the Lone Ranger
Nice.
watched the battle. The sleek white
Hey, Duke.
stallion was nimble and courageous,
You let him get
but
away
his
with that?
strength began to wane.
What
The
do you
buffalo
mean?
charged
Slap him in
again
the
and
guardhouse
again.
for 30
The
days.
splendid
Only this
muscles
isn't
of
the
the white
American
horse
Army.
were slower
We
in
haven't any
responding.
guardhouse.
Then too
Yeah.
slow. He was caught by
Thanks
the
from a
buffalo's
security
charge.
standpoint.
Wet
I know.
crimson stained
We
his
try to
pure
keep
white
these
coat.
boys from
Another
sneaking off
charge.
home every
The
now and
white
then. We're
horse
not gonna
saw
have
it
any
coming, and he
monkey.
couldn't dodge. He staggered and fell. The monster
He's
drew
French.
back and lowered his head
Any
for the
more
death
or
charge.
worse?
And then
I don't
two
know about
shots
that.
rang out.
Remember
The
Phoenix
buffalo
City,
shuddered
Alabama?
from the impact of the
Yeah.
masked man's bullets. For an instant, he
Oh,
stood
yeah, I see
motionless.
what you mean.
Then fell.
There wasn't anything we could do. If we'd ordered Alcine to stay in camp, he'd have sneaked off anyway. He had that dreamy, faraway look that's baffled parents, teachers, and first lieutenants since the beginning of time. I didn't worry too much about it because our marquee was growing, and Ed Hill and I were breaking our backs pushing those French kids through an airsoft basic in 3 weeks. Headquarters in London didn't tell us much, but we did know from the BBC that the boys had landed at Omaha Beach, and it wouldn't be long before they'd be needing our roadblocks. And then one morning, about D+4, I think it was, I was out in the woods running a squad through
He's
concealment.
himself again.
No. Hit the dirt. Don't wait or you're dead. When you see the signal, hit the dirt right now.
He'll take a
Pardon
saddle.
me, Lieutenant.
Let's try.
Oh, Alcine.
Steady there.
Have you been all night as though I didn't know?
Lieutenant, I've got to talk to
We
you.
get rope.
Okay, I'll be through here in a
No,
half
Tonto,
hour or
wait.
so.
I've got to
Let him
talk to
go.
you now.
I'd like to have that
All right,
horse
Elsie.
more than anything in the world.
Okay, boys, take
But he
5.
deserves his freedom. He fought for it.
Come along, Alcine.
He's turned to look at us. See how the
What's on
sun
your mind?
reflects from his white coat.
Lieutenant, my family's been
Him
killed
look like silver.
Silver.
Oh, no.
That would be a
Yes.
name for him.
by the Gestapo.
Silver! Look at
Set
him.
fire to the house.
Silver!
My mother,
Hey,
my
Silver!
father, and my 2 sisters.
Tonto,
ran out the
he's
Gestapo
coming
shot.
back. It's just as if he
You're
knew
sure
what
of
I
this?
said.
Yes, I heard it this morning from the
Silver!
neighbor who saw it happen.
Silver, you
kid.
beauty.
When can we
Hand me
attack,
the halter,
Lieutenant?
Tonto.
When can we stop this endless
As the
training
mighty
and fight the
stallion
bush?
felt the halter, he trembled
No,
as
I
if from a
want him to
chill.
kill,
Every
kill,
instinct told him that he must
until I
flee
pay
at
him back
once
from
to
my
preserve his
father, my
freedom.
mother.
And yet he stood his
My
ground.
2 sisters.
Yeah, I know.
Gratitude
You'll get
that
your
was
chance,
there.
Alcine, but
It
not
was
yet.
something stronger.
We gotta wait.
Some
We're
mysterious
not ready
bond
yet.
of friendship
ready.
and understanding.
Before I wanted
He
to
heard
fight
the
the
man's
bush for my
voice.
country.
And he liked
Now I
it.
want to kill him
Silver.
again and again.
Silver.
For them.
I know, but you
We're
gotta
going
be
to be
patient.
partners.
It should happen to me now.
Him that you use
Only
halter.
last night
Now,
Renee
Tonto,
said she'd marry
the
me.
saddle.
Oh,
Come to live
no
here with
horse
me in the
like
camp.
that. Take saddle.
There never
I'm so
was a
happy.
horse like
like this.
And this morning I learned this news.
When did you hear from your mother last?
The
Not
horse
for
was
months
wild
since we began to
and
work, but
unused to the
I've
ways of
written her
men
every
and the weight
week.
of a saddle and a
Who mailed the
rider.
letters?
But the
They
masked
mailed them
man
for
was
me.
a kind
She's so
teacher.
kind and
He was
thoughtful.
gentle yet firm.
She offered
and
to mail
Silver
letters
was
home to the other
intelligent.
boys, too.
The stallion
nice.
seemed to sense
Did they
the
take advantage
desires of the
of her
Lone
offer?
Ranger
Couple.
and did his best
Who?
to cooperate.
Paul and Sean.
He learned
I
quickly,
told them about it,
and
they
after
wrote their
several
families.
days of
And
training,
Renee mailed
he
the
was
letters. so.
She's a wonderful person.
I'm going after Cavendish.
You're going to love her.
Come on, Silver!
Yeah, I think I am.
She's all I've got in the world now.
No hoofs had ever beaten the plains like those thundering hoofs of the great horse Silver.
2 and 2 make 4 in occupied France, just the same as anywhere else. Sometimes it's just as hard to prove. But one thing was sure. Now I wanted to meet Rene in the worst way. But I had to postpone the pleasure because early that afternoon one of the outposts broke into camp out of breath.
The mighty stallion responded with a new burst of speed.
Through the forest.
How many?
I did not stop to count them. Several truckloads, to be sure.
Pass the word to Lieutenant Hill. Ask him to bring his detail into camp on the double.
Yes, Lieutenant.
Alcine, take 2 men and go down to the road and see what they're up to.
Yes, sir.
Just reconnoiter, don't fire at them.
But this is my chance for revenge.
Listen, don't fire at them. It's a command.
Yes, sir.
They may not be after us at all. Now get going.
Man's avowed
What's
mission
the order
was
of the day,
accomplished.
Duke?
The
Lance
last of
Graham?
the
Yeah, looks
Cavendish
like it.
gang
All
was
your men here?
captured
President
to be
accounted
tried
for.
by law.
All right,
and
boys, now
punished
gather
for
around, will you, and get
crimes.
this.
There were many others.
There's a convoy of
whose
Germans
plans
coming down
were
the
to be
forest road.
challenged by the Lone Ranger,
Now, wait a
his
minute.
faithful
We're
Indian
not going to fight 'em.
companion, Tonto,
You know what our
and
job
his
is,
great horse,
roadblocks.
Silver.
We got tanks, artillery, and airplanes that'll be along soon to do the killing. Now, look, our security's been pretty good. And those Krauts may be on a routine patrol. Chances are they don't even know we're here.
They do now. Listen.
Yeah. Well, that does it. All right, you men got your weapons? Yes, sir. Good. Now, you know the procedure. Get lost. Before you leave the forest, bury your weapons, ammunition, and equipment. Rendezvous at the home of Alcine's aunt at 2200 hours tonight. Good luck. Come on, Ed, let's scram.
Well, he who doesn't fight and runs away lives to fight another day.
Or something like that.
Who tipped them off?
I'm not sure, but I got a pretty good idea.
Who's down there at the road?
Alcine, he's fighting a private war, the poor jerk. The basic rule of 3 in guerrilla warfare is surprise, kill, vanish. However, when you're surprised, the only rule is vanish. And we did. There were about 50 Germans and a half a dozen dogs to track our scent. They spent the day thrashing through the woods, firing into the underbrush, and finding nothing. It was a classic withdrawal, and Hill and I were proud of our little army, with the exception of Alcine, its self-appointed hero. When we arrived at his aunt's house that night for the rendezvous, a half a dozen of the boys were already there.
Who is it?
Fleur.
De Lys. Ah, Lieutenant, come in.
Good evening, madame.
Alcine is already here. I'm so proud of him.
Ah, Lieutenant, I was just telling Tante Marie and the boys it was magnificent. I got 2 of them. I killed 2 Boche.
Your orders were not to shoot.
But, Lieutenant, what would you?
What happened to the other boys who were with you?
Jean was wounded and captured. Antoine became frightened and ran away.
That blows the Marquis. They'll get the full particulars from John.
They haven't got him already.
I'm sorry, Lieutenant, but...
Quiet. Answer it, madame.
Who is it?
Look.
De Lys.
Open it.
Good evening, madame.
Come in, boys.
Run in any trouble, boys?
As you see, we are here.
Yeah.
But not for long. Lieutenant,
Yes,
Raoul
Paul?
and I wish to withdraw from the Marquis.
Quit? Why?
The risk is too great.
You afraid?
For myself, no. But after what happened to John.
He was wounded and captured. We all take that risk.
Yes, but last night the Gestapo got Jean's family. Like they did Alcine's. Stood them up in front of their house and shot them. Who knows what'll be next? My mother, Raoul's sister, Alcine's aunt. I wish to withdraw.
So do I.
All right, now, wait a minute. I don't blame you for being worried about your families. But whose families do you think the British and American armies up in Normandy are fighting to liberate? Their own? No, yours. Now, this thing isn't as bad as it looks. There's been a leak in our security. Somebody's been putting the finger on us, so we lay low until the leak's plugged.
But the Germans are everywhere. Spies, perhaps, too, are everywhere.
I think I know who's responsible for these murders. I'll make a deal with you. Give me a couple of days to work it out. We'll issue you boys some money, and all you've got to do is to get lost until Saturday night, and then meet me back here. If I haven't patched up our security by then, you can all quit the Marquis and become collaborators.
Oh, it is not that, Lieutenant.
No one wishes to collaborate.
But one must think of one's family.
Okay. Ed,
Yeah, Duke.
give the boys 1,000 francs apiece.
Right. Come and get it, boy. Come on.
Alcine,
Yes, my Lieutenant?
I'm going to have a little time on my hands for the next couple of days. You think you could arrange to introduce me to your girlfriend?
Oh, but of course, Lieutenant.
Maybe, if she's okay, like you say, we can let her sign up, huh?
I am desolated with happiness, Lieutenant.
One thing. None of that lieutenant business around her until I make sure she's all right.
Very well.
You think my French is good enough to pass as a native?
But of course, Lieutenant.
All right, then. Pass me off as a friend of yours. Let's see, I'll need a name. Let's call me Jacques Dufresne.
Jacques Dufresne. Good. I will make the arrangements immediately.
I thought you'd like an excuse to get into town tonight. The next afternoon, Alcine brought the girl out to the woods near his aunt's house. I stood behind a tree to watch and make sure they weren't being followed. She was all right. Tall, long, sunburned legs, her hair caught in a blue ribbon like a little girl's. I let them walk by, and then I stepped from behind my tree.
Oh, there you are, Jacques.
Hello, Alcine.
René, this is my good friend Jacques Dufresne. He's from Paris, too. Jacques, this is René de Cibourg.
Glad to meet you, mademoiselle.
And I'm honored to meet you, monsieur. Where do you live in Paris?
Near the Porte du Lilas. But my home is no longer there. It was bombed out.
Alas, so was mine.
My family remain with friends, but I've come out into the country to fight with the resistance.
Jacques has much influence with the commander of our Maquis.
Oh, I hope you will be able to persuade him to let me join you, monsieur.
I shall do what I can.
It would be a privilege and an honor to work with a patriot like you.
See, Jacques, I told you René was all right.
You didn't tell me the half of it. Mademoiselle, you understand that we must be cautious. There are questions I must ask of a confidential nature.
Why don't we meet again? Alone.
Why not?
Say, tonight? I have a little car.
But...
We might take a drive.
Fine.
But, René, you promised me that...
I can see you some other time, ma chère. Remember, France comes first.
We just drove that night. She was wearing a white ribbon in her hair and a loose white dress and no stockings. We just drove around in her little Citroën with the top down and the wind blowing her hair like a girl in a magazine ad. Then we came back about midnight and parked by the bridge. I felt like I was back in high school in Illinois.
Look at those stars, Jacques.
Yeah.
So many of them. So close you can almost reach out and touch them.
Yeah.
I had them all once, Jacques. I reached out and gathered them all in my arms once.
Yeah?
I want you to know all about me, Jacques.
I want to.
Don't think it's wrong of me. But I've been in love.
There's nothing wrong in being in love.
He was a soldier.
Most everybody is these days.
A German soldier.
Oh.
Don't you think that love is bigger than war or hate or anything?
Yeah, I guess so.
He's dead now.
That's good. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. I'm not sorry he's dead.
Jacques, I'm so confused. I want to understand things. I want to be intelligent about things. But everything gets so mixed up. Like now.
Like now?
Yes. Jacques, I've never been so happy as I am tonight.
Not even with the German?
Not even with him. Why does it have to end? Why do those blessed stars have to go out one by one to make way for another day of war? Why can't we stop time? You and I. And gather all the stars together. Just for us.
I don't know, baby. It's never been done before. But we can try. Yeah.
Tomorrow night?
Same time, same place. Forever, if you say the word.
Forever?
Sure, why not? Who knows how long forever is in this crazy world? Why not have it together? Why not get married?
Why not, my most beloved?
See you tomorrow night.
I'll only be half alive until then. Sherry, if you want to write to your family in Paris, give me the letter tomorrow night, and I'll mail it for you.
No. All right, drop that rock and grab a sock. Rise and shine, lover boy. I brought you a cup of chocolate. Figured you want breakfast in bed this morning.
Oh, thanks.
How'd you make out last night?
Okay.
Details. Let's have the details.
Nothing much to report. We drove, and then we parked for a while and talked.
Did she give anything away?
No information. She's a funny kid. Her dialogue's as corny as a bobby soxer. She knows she's pretty, so she wants to be admired for her mind. But I'm sure she's our Mata Hari.
How come?
She offered to mail a letter to my family.
That's consistent.
I asked her to marry me.
What?
She didn't believe me, but she pretended like she did. Oh, I don't know why she's doing what she's doing. Thrills, maybe.
French juvenile delinquent, huh?
Maybe. Tonight's the night.
The night you get married?
No, the night we get her. The boys are meeting us here at midnight, you know.
What's the plan?
Well, I'll take another ride with her. And about midnight, we'll be back in park by the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be there out of sight.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have some brandy along, and I'll slug her drink with a capture pill. When she's passed out, I'll give you the come-on, and you join me. Here, baby, have another drink, huh?
I shouldn't, Jack. Brandy always makes me sleepy.
Well, what of it? This is a celebration of our engagement.
Oh, kiss me, Jack. Again and again.
Sure.
Jacques, the stars are nearer. Nearer than they've ever been.
Nearer than you think, baby.
I love you, Jacques. I do love you. Kiss me again. Do it again. And again.
Renee. Baby. Are you asleep? You collaborationist pig, can you hear me? Okay, Ed.
Is she out?
Like a red light in an air raid. Here's her purse. Start through it while I untangle myself, will you?
Now, take a look at this.
What is it?
A letter from Gestapo headquarters confirming receipt of 3 addresses.
Let me see that. Well, that one's Alcine's family, and that one's Jean's.
And here's a Gestapo identification card.
Flash your light over there. Look at her.
What a dish.
Look at that kisser. She's responsible for the death of 6 people whose only crime was being born French. She'd have wrecked our marquis, snafu'd our mission, and turned me over to the Gestapo with her lipstick still on my collar. That gorgeous hunk of double cross. Well, we got the proof. Let's get on with it.
Okay. I guess you'd rather I...
No, this is my job.
Gee, she's gorgeous.
Yeah. So long, honey. Thanks.
She ain't so gorgeous now.
Release that handbrake. Got it. Come on, shove. Not yet. Keep that steering wheel straight. The river's deepest right at the center of the bridge. Yeah. Now, hard right on the wheel. You know something, Ed?
Huh?
I think she finally did gather that armful of stars. Sure, the operation was successful. When the time came, our roadblocks tied up 3 German divisions while Patton rolled on to the east. But I still lie awake at night thinking I should have married that dame. Yeah, the operation was successful, but the patient died.
Operation Fleur De Lys was written, directed, and produced by William N. Robeson with Jack Webb as Duke, Elliot Lewis as Hill, Peggy Weber as Renee, and Harry Bartell as Alcine. Operation Fleur De Lys was based on an incident from the files of the OSS, recorded in Sub Rosa by Stuart Alsop and Thomas Braden. The special musical score was conceived and conducted by Cy Pure. Escape is presented by CBS and its affiliated stations each week at this time. Next week, we invite you to escape with F. Scott Fitzgerald in his unforgettable story, The Diamond as Big as the Ritz. And so, good night, until next week, when again it will be time to escape. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.